Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today I'm starting a new series, music playlist / interview series, where I invite a guest to create a playlist surrounding a specific theme while we discuss that topic. The theme today is Cool Girl, and the guest is Vasego Morgan, known as Coconut Cracked on Instagram. Hope you enjoy it.
So, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Vasego Morgan, I guess, also known as Coconut Cracked online, and I'm currently a student in sustainable development. I'm doing like my postgrad, and then I also I have been working for a local brand as like a creative strategist. Yeah.
My friend sent me your account like a couple of weeks ago, and she was like, I think you really like this account. So I don't really know much about you and like what you do. So it's great to like finally like get to know you and the person behind Coconut Cracked. I really love that you were like sustainable and encourage sustainable living, and that you're like very authentic to yourself. So I'm like very inspired by that. Okay.
Thank you. I think that what I just said about who I am, most people who follow me don't really know that, because I don't really talk about it as much. So it's not like a.
So, like, what image do you think you share with your followers?
I think so. I know that people think that I'm a lot younger than I am just because of how I look like. I also still live with my parents, but I'm like 25 at the moment. And then I know that like on TikTok, people see me like as like a cottage core thrifty person, and I think it's kind of similar on Instagram, except people see like more of my life that's maybe less like an aesthetic, like cottage core vibe. So yeah.
Okay. So I just wanted to say that your playlist put me on to so much music. Like I've been listening to it since last night when you sent it to me, and I downloaded every single song in it except like 3 songs. But my favorite one is Holy by Jamila Woods.
I thought you would like that one.
Yeah, it's like my favorite one. It's going to be my mantra for like the rest of this month, because like the words on it are just like, yeah, and the confessions of it. So why did you put it on the list, on the playlist?
So Holy, I put it towards the end. I thought of the playlist almost as like a journey of like even myself and my idea of like what I guess like being a cool girl is. And I think that Holy for me was that like realization phase where you like realize that you are whole. Even the concept of a cool girl, like we could just take that out and just say that you just as you are like the best, and like realizing that you need to put that like love that you're trying to find outside back into yourself. And like creating a proper relationship with yourself and like whatever higher spirit you believe in.
I especially love the line of like, I'm alone but I'm not lonely, because like it's definitely something I've been exploring during this season, and just realize that it's important that I establish a relationship with myself and realize that I'm like whole just by myself, to not look for anything else outside of myself to like fill me up. So I really enjoy it. So now bringing it back to the topic of cool girl, what would you define as a cool girl?
I think for me, a cool girl is somebody who is happy within themselves and who they are, but also is not somebody who, I think oftentimes, I mean, in Cape Town, I've found that in like the cool scene, sometimes it's cool to be mean, or it's cool to look down on other people. To create cliques can kind of seem like a cool thing, but I think something that for me, when I think somebody is super cool, I realize it's because they make other people feel really comfortable. And they also are carefree, but not careless. Not necessarily caring that people might look down on you for dancing, like being the only person dancing because I think about like when we go to like live music, like I remember like there was live music playing and I would really want to dance, but nobody else wants to. And so then it's like that, like so like being that person who's like okay with just like doing it, or like wearing things that you like as long as you're not like hurting other people. I think that's like a big thing for me, is like making other people feel included but also comfortable enough to be themselves too. I think, yeah, for me that's like cool.
Yeah, I think that sounds really great. And then you talked about how the first two songs on your playlist are like talking about how you at a time where you wanted to make yourself an ideal person for another person. So like elaborate more on that and why you chose those two songs specifically.
The first two songs, Ice Water by Loyal Carter, he talks about a girl who I think is like, in my idea, she's kind of cool. But I would have gone with a different song, but I kind of really enjoy like his music and I really wanted to put him in there. But and then also because it's called Ice Water, I was like, cool. It was cold, I don't know. But yeah, but I think so most of the songs are done by woman artists. And then there's only two songs at the beginning that are done by men. And so it was both of them. I wouldn't say that, for me, I just used that as like an idea, is that like there's this idea of the cool girl that I feel has been like pushed in like media, especially like films and stuff. And I think about that like monologue in Gone Girl, even, where she talks about the cool girl, and like it's this idea of this girl who's super chilled about everything and like really go with the flow, but also like ride or die for like, usually for like a man, right? And so it was like that. I think when I was younger, I used to want to embody that person that I was like hearing a lot about in different media forms. And so I was kind of putting that as like, that's who I was. I think of it maybe as a journey. And I maybe could have chosen better songs about guys who are talking about those kind of girls, but I just really like those two artists, so I kind of just used them as like placeholders.
And I've been looking to get into UK music, so like Ice Water was like really good, and I was like, yes, this is what I've been looking for. Okay. The next song was Inhale, Exhale by Now, also one that I really liked. So can you let me know why you chose that
one? She sort of talks about being sort of like drowning almost in, I think, or at least the way that I interpreted it was that she's like and she's trying to like get out of this like sort of overwhelming feeling, but also like possibly like in a relationship or something like that. I did realize that this like playlist like almost sounded like it was like going in like a relationship way or like a breakup. I said to a friend, it sounds like this playlist reads like a breakup playlist, but it's not really one. But it is almost like breaking up with that idea that has been pushed on women, I think. But yeah, so I think that was like her, for me, it was this moment of like realizing how submerged one is, and then like trying to like come out of that. So that was the reason behind that one.
And then Stone Cold.
Deb Never is like, I mean, all of these artists are really cool, but Deb Never is a really cool artist that I've gotten into recently. And she is talking about this person that thinks that they're really cool, but they're not actually like that cool, and like the realization of that. So those ones I think kind of go together. This like being submerged feeling, but also realizing that this person who thinks that they're super cool isn't actually that cool.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. And then Lemon Glow was one song that I still need to like listen more to get into, because it's very like different from the type of music I usually listen to. But like, could you like describe what you think the song means, and then again go into why you chose it.
So that one like had nothing to do with the lyrics and all to do with the sound. And the sound to me sounds like this like climax or like the like realization, like super realization phase, and then like coming to like a peak and then coming like into, it was like almost my transition song in this like playlist. Even though it's like completely, I think it's kind of different from both sides of the playlist where it like stands. And but yeah, I think that it was like not a wild card, but I was like, I'll put it in there because I really enjoy the sound of this song. But I don't think it's just like the feeling that it gives me rather than anything about like what it means in terms of lyrics.
Okay. I guess that explains why I didn't really like understand it. But then I couldn't tell that. Well, I couldn't tell, but it makes sense that it's like a transition to the next song. Yeah. Okay. So, Where Did I Go by Georgia Smith. Can we talk about that one?
Yeah, I'm just realizing how much like I maybe prolonged so much of the like the realization phase within that it's like she talks about like where did her as a person go, like her ideas of who she is, and like and that's like I think like a phase that I like went through was like being like I've lost myself, like, and ideas of who I thought that I was, and that's why like I think like Holy for me, like I think Holy comes like after it, is like this like realizing like, okay, I need to like reinvest time into myself. So it's like that, I think that Where Did I Go is like where did my identity or like who am I to myself even. Yeah.
So who are you to yourself?
I think I was thinking about this. I find myself super hilarious, not that other people don't. I'll just be like by myself and I'll be like laughing like I'm watching like a comedy show or something because I'm like, oh, you're so funny. And so like I think that's like I'm like, yeah, I would say that I want to be like to myself like the funniest person that I know, or like somebody that I really, really love. Like, you know, like I want to be really proud of who I am. And I think that it's about like striving towards like that and like trying to figure out like what is it that makes me proud of myself. And so, yeah, so I think that is, I still currently don't know, but I would say that I think I'm super funny, but only to myself.
Well, that's a good trait to think of yourself. So, like you, when do you think you had this realization phase, like the self-realization of like, I need to spend more time with myself and I need to discover myself? When did this happen and what triggered it?
I think it happens like it'll happen like every now and again. Like I think it's a constant journey.
Yeah.
But definitely like 2020. I was like, oh, suddenly forced to spend a lot of time with myself. But also I think so I also deal with like depression, and it was like before, my coping mechanism was like seeing people and like hanging out with them and like kind of expecting our like time together to bring me out of things, which is funny because like at the same time when I'm depressed I don't want to see people, so it's like hard to get myself to do that. But then once I did, I would really enjoy it, and then also even before that, like when I was in a relationship, I relied like a lot for that person to bring me my happiness and wasn't like trying to find it within myself. And that's like so much pressure to put onto somebody. So I think it was like in 2020 I realized that I needed to find like coping mechanisms or things to help me become like happier, but also and like ways of dealing with that, like those feelings, but also just even sometimes sitting with those feelings. Like it's not always bad to feel sad, right? But yeah, I guess that's like when I realized that there was like a lot of things that I needed to work through, as well as just like finding happiness and stuff.
Yeah. Then what do you believe in? Like, what is like? Do you believe it? Are you religious or like? Yeah.
So I grew up in a Jewish Buddhist household, and so I was like, and then I used to go to church with like my nanny. And so I like grew up like around a lot of religions, and I think that like made me quite spiritual, but I don't ascribe to a certain religion. I think that for me, people have different ways of speaking to like the higher power or like the universe. And I want to like respect that. I think for me, I find different ways. Sometimes it is like, I don't know, I guess I'd like, well, maybe sometimes talk to God, but also sometimes I will chant, which is what my mother does. And yeah, so I don't think that I wouldn't say that I have a religion, but I would say that I am spiritual.
Okay. So I was gonna say that another thing that really helps me is like talking to God, because like in that I feel really welcomed and loved and appreciated. So I'm like, well, from what I know about God, He says that I am enough, and then that just automatically like counteracts the thing of like having a negative self view and knowing that, you know what, if God loves me, then I must be lovable and like let me appreciate myself too. So like, yeah. And then the other song was After Holy is I Like That by Janelle Monáe. So talk a bit about that one.
She just talks about the things that she likes, I guess, and like herself, and like even like not really like the fact that some people made fun of her when she was younger for liking things, which I kind of relate to a lot. Yeah. And I just like that it was like this thing of like coming to the realization that you need to invest in yourself, but also like being strong in like what you like. And then I also like that it felt like the song, well, I don't know, like I had two versions of the playlist. Afterwards there was a Lizzo song that I was going to put like as a bonus track if you're just listening to the playlist as one whole thing. But if you're going to listen to it on repeat, then to go from I Like That back to ice or cold water, ice water, then like that was just like, but sorry, yeah. So then that goes really well if you listen to it like that as a loop. So and then it almost like talks like it's like this girl who then she knows herself, and then Loyal Cardner talks about a girl who like knows herself, and then goes back into this weird.
I like that because the one thing about it that stood out to me was like she said that I'm still gonna like this and I'm still gonna do this even if anybody else thinks it's weird. So that really encourages me to like be more of myself and like not care what like people think or like let it affect who I am. So I really like that. And then last song, Like a Girl by Lizzo. Talk about that one.
I guess I just like the like empowering aspect of it. It felt like pretty empowering. And sort of like I was thinking if I was to listen to this playlist like in the morning, then that would like be the song that like gets me ready
Mm.
for the like to go out and like
Yeah.
face the world kind of song. But then if I was listening to the playlist at home, I would probably take that part out and just go on a repeat after. Yeah. So I think that it's just like a really, I really like Lizzo and her like personality,
Mm-hmm.
and how I think she's sort of changed the way celebrities act in terms of the way that they make other people feel. I've noticed that they have seen that she's made people feel better about themselves and not like put people down so much. And so I feel like celebrities have become a little bit more like that, like trying to, like the needle has been pushed a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong, but or maybe I'm like in my own echo chamber of seeing this. But yeah, so and then I think that song does that too. Is just like talking about, I think also the thing is that like everybody's like, oh, you do something like a girl, and it's seen as like a degrading way of saying, but actually she's like, it's not.
Yeah. It's definitely an empowering song. Like this whole playlist, I feel like is great to listen to in the morning, especially the way that you said it's a journey. Like you get more empowered as it goes on. So yeah, I definitely might add it to my morning routine for at least this week. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to have this call with me. I really appreciate it.